Okay, so we're here with Tim Hardy with his E30 BMW, and we're just going to have a bit of a chat about the aero design on it and just the general car concept. So you want to just give us a brief overview of how this car came to life and what its basis is?
Yeah, well, I mean, it started off life as a cheap Craigslist car. It was something that I could find that was relatively inexpensive to build up into a somewhat decent hill climb car. And over the years, it's just progressed further and further. And with friends and family, we figured out how to build some carbon fiber products and try to make doors and try to make any kind of aero product we could find. And a lot of it is, more theory and trying to almost copy some of what other people have done and trying to take some of the things I like from certain cars I've seen or certain hill climb cars and tweaking it as we go and trying to get some tips from some of the pro guys. But it's a work in progress, and we try to change it up and try to do as much as we possibly can throughout the years. But it's
yeah, so you've done all the carbon work on this yourself, and I must say it's really nice. So we have this finish here, so we can see that is just painted, that is not vinyl wrapped, so some pretty beautiful work right there. And you've done all the aero design yourself based off people, and as some of my viewers may know, I'm a little hard to please when it comes to aerodynamics, and I'm quite happy with what's been done with this car. So perhaps we can talk through a few of the aero features, starting with the front splitter, front diffuser combo, and then side skirts and talk to the rear.
Yeah. Well, so this year we ended up building a new splitter because the previous years we'd been using a splitter that was foam core based, and we ended up having it bow. And last year we ended up adding another rear element to the rear spoiler, or the rear wing, and we ended up getting too much lift in the front, so we ended up trying to get a splitter that was more straight, try to get us a little bit further out, not too crazy, so it didn't make it too hard to get out of the driveway and things like that. But we ended up using an aluminum honeycomb core and kind of did a couple different weaves of carbon to try to stiffen it up, and Kevlar as well for some abrasion resistance and thing like that. We also added end plates into it, trying to get a little bit of an end cap to it, and some of that theory came from we've seen it on quite a few cars. Number one example would be Sebastian Loeb's car. We are limited on the number of vertical square inches we can have, and so we're basically almost at the limit of what we can have. As far we're limited to 932 square inches of vertical plane, which is kind of a weird rule, but we gotta I'm not sure where they got it from, but we gotta follow it. So
okay, well, yeah, let's talk a little bit about your underfloor management strategy. So what's going on through here, and the side skirt design and stuff like that.
Yeah, so I mean, I've seen this on a couple different cars, and there's some different theories behind it, but it's just basically the concept of what I understand behind it is that the air that is underneath, you're trying to get that air to escape as easily as you can, and it also serves another purpose of being able to get some of the hot air from the brakes and things like that away from the body, and it also gives us a really good place to get rid of air that's heated up from the engine and things like that. And also we have our hood vents, but it's kind of based more on theory, but when we put it on, it did seem to help substantially. So, and then we basically have a flat floor all the way from our splitter. So we have a big under tray that's just flat.
Yeah, let's walk to the back of the diffuser.
Yep. So basically we have the under tray hookup to our diffuser, and again we're limited to a number of vertical square inches. So in theory we would want straights to try to, I guess, contain the air and contain our vortices behind. But this is kind of a concept that I stole from a guy, Dave Kern, with basically just just small end plates on the side, and it seemed to help quite substantially. Just having a flat body from the front all the way to the back, and we've tried on test days to do it without the wing, and it feels to me like the majority of the aero we're getting is actually from the under tray, and not so much things like the wing and maybe the end plates on the splitter and things like that. So yeah, we custom built this as well. This is basically probably our Gen 3 or Gen 4 of our wings that we've created, and we kind of do them a little bit gettily compared to what a lot of people do. We basically make a template out of wood, and then we have a foam block, and we use
the hot wire
hot wire technique.
Yeah,
we get that dialed in, and it seemed to work. We basically have we tried a couple different designs as far as our profile, and I think we borrowed one from Brooks a very similar design from Brooks, kind of a little bit modified from what their profile was for both these wings, and just sized the smaller element down a little bit and added a gurney flap with about a 1/2 inch lift just to experiment with it. And there's better ways to mount it that we know, but it's just for ease of building it. It's a lot easier to mount from the bottom.
Yeah. So that was the justification behind not going swan necks on either the second element reinforcement or the primary.
Yeah, I mean, it's just to make it easier to handle the load, to be able to have, instead of having it connected from the top, I felt like it was much stronger to do it from the bottom. I'm sure we could probably fab up a way to do that, but part of it is like the look of it. I'm not really a huge fan of how it looks, but also the way we do our end plates, or our uprights. We made these out of carbon fiber and Kevlar sock material.
And is it a cord upright?
It is cored with Polygal, which is it's basically like a greenhouse material. It's a really stiff, it's like a really heavy duty version of Coroplast.
And is all this stuff wet layup or infusion? Or?
Yeah, everything on this car is wet layup, and there's a little bit of finishing work that's gone into it on top, and we definitely had some problems when we first laid it up. We did the wide body and the doors, the trunk, the bumper, a couple other things in less than a month, like just with buddies trying to do it all. We probably actually worked on it for about 2 weeks straight to get it done, but we had some issues when we tried to design our curves and try to figure out a way to make the template. It was really difficult to try to figure out how to make the like the wide body actually look correct and not really out of shape. We made some mistakes along the way, but we've kind of rectified things as we go, and a couple things we've forgotten to add, like a second or third layer of carbon on certain parts that definitely needed a second or third layer of carbon. And like things like the bumper, we really need to redo the bumper, because that was one where we left the backside. We used, for a lot of the wide body panels, we used Cormat for the core material. And the bumper, we forgot to use carbon fiber on the backside, so it's kind of, every time it gets into heat, sometimes it moves around and it's kind of just doing its thing. But I mean, it's not the greatest looking piece on the car, but it's way back there and it's light, so that's how it goes.
Yeah, well, best of luck on the mountain.
Yeah.
And I hope you do well.
Thanks.
Cheers for talking to us.
Yeah.